Welcome to Winners, Wallets, and Worldviews, the only show that's gonna teach you how to fucking be somebody.
Won't you follow me into the jungle? Ain't no God on my streets, in the heart of the jungle.
What is going on today, folks? Welcome to Winners, Wallets, Worldviews. I'm your host, AJ Armstrong. You can follow me on Instagram at AaronArmstrong33, or you can check out my website at AaronJArmstrong.com. Let's get into it. Here we go, guys. Here's what we're going to talk about today. And that's experience doesn't mean jack shit, and the odds don't mean jack shit. Experience means a whole lot of jack shit. Think about it, guys. How do you make money? How do you really make money in this world? You take a problem, you solve it with some type of new, unique, inventive idea. All these people that have this experience, all these credentials, all this and that, they're just being complacent in what has already existed. They're just creating ways of doing stuff that they've already done. But you never make money that way. You might make a living that way. You might make a living off experience. You'll get a good 9-to-5 job off experience. Might be able to get into some consulting gigs. Oh, I've seen this issue before. This is good. With some experience. But you're never going to create real wealth off experience. You're never going to grab the non-existent ideas and bring them to earth. Something that's never been there before. You're never going to be able to do that with experience. Which is why, if you really want to get rich, if you really want to be wealthy, you need to solve a problem. You need to solve a new problem, and you need to recognize some problem that's already existed, but have a unique, new, inventive, creative way of how you want to bring that to the planet. And it pisses me off when people always get hung up on, I don't have the experience to do this. I have the passion to this, but I need a certification. I have the passion to do this, but no one's going to listen to me unless I have experience or credentials. Bullshit. People are going to listen to you when you show value. Does experience contribute to value? It certainly can, absolutely. You can be more valuable at solving a certain problem that you've done time and time and time again. That's very common. That's a very common problem. You'll probably make some money doing that. And that's awesome. And that's one way to do it. But if you want to create real wealth, and you want to bring a lot of fucking money into your checkbook, you've got to solve new problems. And you've got to be better at solving these problems than all these people with the experience. Guys, you can research this shit. You can go on the internet right now. The way the internet is now, the way all this shit is now, you can go find the solution really quickly. You don't have to have a bunch of experience. Everybody that has all this experience posts it for free. It's free on the internet. You just have to be a little bit driven to go search for it, learn it, understand it, read books, read all this stuff, watch videos on YouTube. There's a subject for fucking everything out there. So why do you need this experience? What is the experience getting you? I was even at the doctor the other day. I was at the doctor's office and I'm telling him like I wasn't feeling good or some shit. No, I think I hurt my I hurt my shoulder at the gym. That's what it was. I'm telling him all these symptoms and whatever, and he's like, okay, yeah, document the symptoms, and here I am documenting them. Not that one, okay. And then he's like, all right, I need to go check some medical textbooks. Yeah, whatever. He's gonna go fucking check out a flow chart that tells you this symptom, that one, all the way it goes through, and eventually it just comes down to, oh, you have this. He's just fucking Googling it. He's just looking up the same shit. He's just Googling that shit. So where do you need this experience and why is it valuable? In what form is this experience valuable if it's all on the internet, it's all posted, and it's all right there at the fingertips, and you can just learn from other people's mistakes? Where you really make money, guys, is by solving a creative problem and providing a creative solution to solve the creative problem. That's where you're going to start to create wealth, creating new ideas, something that never existed before. This is why I think it's really funny. So look at all these industries that are idea-centric. Books, entrepreneurial ideas, new business ideas, things like that. Movies, Hollywood films, that's a great one. That's a great one where everyone's like, oh, I need someone that's got experience in film writing. And it makes them so much more valuable to write a film. It's like, dude, the whole industry is based off of who has the coolest idea and the most unique and the most brilliant artistic way to tell a story. That's film industry. And you're saying that you want to rely on the same guy that came up with it before? the Farley brothers, the whatever. I mean, the same writers. You're not going to find a new, unique, brilliant idea that way. But I get it, right? That's the bureaucratic system. That's the kind of the nature of the beast, right? We need to fucking recognize that there's probably so many amazing movie ideas floating around in people's fucking brains out there that are never going to get out to the world. But now we got YouTube. Now we got other shit. So there's so many possibilities of how to get those ideas into the world. There's no more excuses. Look at speeches. Look at some shit like that, right? All these new ideas that you want to do. Why do you want to rely on the credentials of somebody that already had a fucking idea that's already existed? They're just continuing to build on. You need to be able to innovate and adapt with the time. And that's really what it comes down to, guys. It comes down to being adaptable. Businesses today, companies today are failing to adapt because they keep relying too heavily on experience. And I get it. Experience is necessary in a lot of ways. Experience is actually great for people that want to ground the ideas and execute them. They're great for execution. But if there's no idea to start with, there's no creative idea, there's no like brilliant, innovative strategy, and there's no direction to give to the people that are results focused, that are results oriented, and there's no business. Businesses were not built on shit that's already existed. Science, technology, all this shit. Math, putting people into space, all these different things were done by creating new thoughts, new strategies, new products, people, processes. When we stepped on the fucking moon, there was nobody that had done that before. So why would experience be valuable? They wanted innovative problem solvers. They wanted people that saw the world a different way. And that's how we progress as a society. People think technology just happens with time. No, technology does not happen with time. Technology happens by having people bring ideas onto the planet through the active entrepreneurial grit. That's how ideas are born. That's how greatness is achieved. That's how people become fucking successful. So stop thinking that this experience is what gets you there. It's not. It's not what gets you to fucking be somebody. Experience is what gets you to make a living. It's what gets you to stay in the system. It's what gets you to build the fucking nice little middle class lifestyle with your 2.5 fucking kids, a golden retriever in Levittown, picket fence in front. That is the life you're going to get if you think experience matters. Because the only way you're going to get experience is with time. And if you keep pissing away your time to get this experience, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up for failure. If you want to get wealth, you need to drive a new idea. You want to create a vision, an image, and push a worldview. Challenge the status quo, something that's never been done before. Bringing creative thoughts from fiction into reality, something that was never fucking done before. And that's how you really make money. And today businesses don't get that because we built a system where we think experience is the most valuable thing you can do to drive business. Experience is going to get you the same old shit. Innovation is going to come from people that think differently, that think a little bit more imaginative, that think with this new foresight and what the future could be like. And if you get too many of these innovators in a room, it'll get fucking stagnant and you'll just have all these ideas floating around and it's just as useless. But if you get a bunch of those people in a room and then you have like the driven, focused, like results-oriented people to execute out those tasks, that's what's going to drive the company forward. It's the balance. It's the balance. So shifting gears just a little bit into the next piece of it, but it's on a similar note. And it's the same kind of concept. And that's that businesses are failing to adapt to this generation called the millennials. Going back to businesses failing to adapt. They cannot adapt to the millennial generation. I talk about this all the time. I'm writing a book about this right now. It's people are not thinking about how to change themselves. And they're not trying to think about how to change the internals of their organization. Let me repeat that. People are not thinking about how to change themselves. They keep focusing externally. How am I going to change society that I disagree with? I see this all over the place, right? You see the shit on TV with kids that want their space, like their little safe spaces and all this shit. They won't want to use swear words or vulgar terms or derogatory terms, and they're trying to stop other people from saying all this stuff. And I get it. I disagree with being racist, sexist, bigoted, all this shit that people talked about. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with thinking like that. I don't agree with people that have that viewpoint. But you got to recognize some things, and that there are always going to be assholes out in the fucking world. There will always be assholes in the world. There's always going to be assholes. So if you want to make the world different, don't be the asshole. But think about it. Because there's always going to be assholes in the world, let's make that assumption right now. You're not going to change the asshole's mind ever. So let's just get that assumption out there. Stop thinking you're going to change the asshole's mind. You might be able to change individual assholes' mind, but you're never going to be able to shift an entire viewpoint of people. They have the freedom to have that viewpoint. But what you can do, assuming that assholes are out there and they're not going to change their minds, what you can do is learn how to develop yourself, your spirit, your soul to work with the assholes, to understand the perspective of the assholes, to move throughout the world knowing there's a lot of different opinions. There's a lot of different thoughts. There's a lot of these different things. And how do you adapt yourself into this world that has some assholes? Not everybody, but some. And you see it everywhere. You see it in business. You see it most specifically, most close to my heart, with this millennial generation. Now, these businesses and these older generations are shitting all over the millennials. They hate it. They're like, oh, these millennials, they come into work late. They just don't show up on time. They don't go to meetings. They blow everything up. They stay up fucking late. Okay, let's think about it, right? Instead of just bitching about it, how do we adapt to it? How do you adapt to this new style? If there's a whole society coming into the world, which I'm part of, so I get it. I understand both sides of this thing. A lot of millennials are fucking losers. A lot of millennials are fucking awesome. And a lot of people, in general, do different things. But from a general, holistic perspective, if you're saying they're entitled, but they don't understand, that they're just so quick to get on their phones and all this shit, that's how the world's changing. Think about it, guys. That's how the world's fucking changing. Instead of bitching about it, instead of pushing it off and being like, oh, I can't wait for these millennials to just change, they're not going to change. Stop thinking they're going to change. Relax. Allow yourself to adapt to the change. And the successful companies right now are the ones that are adapting to this change. You see it in Silicon Valley all the time. Here we go. Salesforce.com. The average age of an employee is 29 years old. They were also on Forbes magazine 2017, #1 most innovative company. Think that's a fucking coincidence? No. They bring in people with not that much experience, but are thinkers. They're daydreamers. And they adapt their business to the lifestyle of these people because there's a lot of really good ideas within this new generational shift with a new group of people, a new generation. In 4 years, the millennial generation is going to surpass the purchasing power of every other generation. You don't think that's a valuable thing to adapt to? That lifestyle, how they work, how they consume, how they act, what they think, what they spend their money on? You got to consider all of these different things. And instead of bitching about how they want to spend their money on Candy Crush, adapt to it, create a product that's better than Candy Crush so they pay you. That's all you got to do in this world. That's all you got to do in this game. Stop bitching about these kids that are buried in their video games, and they're buried in their phones, and they're buried in their iPads, and they're buried in all this shit, right? Instead, adapt to it. Create. Go code an app that's a video game. Go freaking invest into a video game company. These are all things you should be doing instead of just bitching about this new generation. It's a whole societal level. Just adapt to it. Maybe create something else. When I was a little kid, I played outside. That's what everyone says. I was a little kid. I actually played outside. Well, so what Nintendo did a couple years back with the Wii and these other video games company now, where they're involving like kinesiology level games where you can actually be active and play the game, and these like virtual reality things, those are people adapting to the thing that's like, I used to play outside. Well, now you can play inside and you can still be active and you can still get exercise and still make it. That's being adaptable. Okay, so there's video games and they're making kids fat. Well, that's the answer to the problem. Somebody creatively brought to earth the solution to that problem. That's being adaptable. That's adapting to society, what people want and what they need. Those are things you got to be thinking about with this millennial generation. Everything that you're bitching about, everything that you disagree with, all these different things could be the next creative problem that you bring to earth and that you solve and that you make a fuckload of money. That's all it comes down to. You need to start thinking about it instead of bitching about the problems. These could be the problems that could be solving. You could be solving all of these different problems right now and making a fuckload of money. Businesses need to adapt. They need to be adaptable. People need to be adaptable. You need to understand there's always going to be these different things that you don't agree with. And eventually, it gets down to the point where a majority of people disagree with how you think, and you're the one that's not adapting. You're the one that's going to be stagnant. And you're the one that's going to be fucking middle class. And that's a fact. You're going to be fucking middle class if you don't adapt. Because that's what they built the middle class for. Was for people that don't want to change. They don't want to innovate. They don't want the ride. They don't want the entrepreneurial journey. So once again, guys, bringing us back, why does experience fucking matter with all this shit? Why does experience matter at all? Because all we're trying to do is solve these problems. We're trying to be adaptable. Just like Jim Rohn says, don't wish the world was easier. Wish you were better. And as I say, stop worrying about changing other people. Figure out how to change yourself and adapt. Because when you figure out how to do that, when you can figure out what direction is the world going, can we sense it? Can we sense the trends? Can we figure out what's going on? Oh my gosh, when I was a little kid, I only got paid $0.25 at the freaking arcade. Well, that's how you lived. That's how you lived, and that's different. But understand that the world is changing, and now we need to capitalize on this new innovative market and start thinking towards the future. Those are the challenges we need to ask ourselves as businesses, not just bitching about this generation, not trying to change a generation for you, adapting to it, letting it flow within you, letting it flow towards you, and actually catching the needs as they come about. And those are the things we want to get out there. We want to ground these new ideas to the world. So hiring some freaking graybeard to run your town, elect him into freaking mayor, put him in your business, have him do this or that, I would say is only valuable if you've already established a perfect system and you just need someone to carry out existing tasks. And there's plenty of jobs like that. There's tasks with good systems in place and you just need someone who just punch numbers. I would say automate them out of a fucking job if that's the case, but that's my opinion. And I'll challenge almost most jobs on that. If you don't think there's a way to innovate this job out, I would say we can automate it then. We could codify it. We can make a computer program. We can do all these kind of shit. But whatever. That's besides the point. If you want to make a lot of fucking money, you got to go out into the world and you've got to create a brilliant thought. You've got to ground this thought into reality. You've got to ground this new entrepreneurial idea. And there's nothing stopping you from doing that right now. There's not. There's lots of problems out there. There's lots of people bitching about things. You just got to be better at solving the problem than someone else. They don't need more experience. They don't need less experience. You just need to be better at solving the problem than someone else. And there's a lot of ways you can figure all this stuff out with social media, guys. If you think you need experience, just Google shit. There's free resources everywhere. I learned how to do all my real estate investing through the internet. It was like, I didn't know, I'm not kidding you. I didn't know a fucking thing about real estate. Now everyone's coming to me, oh my gosh, you're 26 years old. You made all this money in real estate. How did you do it? I fucking Googled stuff. That's literally what I did. I Googled different shit. And then I would go into Google and I would read something. Oh, that's interesting. And then I would copy and paste that into another tab and I'd Google some more shit. And then I'd start doing it over and over and over again until I started to learn a lot of really cool ideas. And then I started going on podcasts. I started listening to YouTube videos. I started reading. I started researching all these different ideas from the internet and from Barnes & Noble and from books, which are available to, I don't know, fucking everybody. Everybody's got a fucking smartphone. They can get free freaking shit off the internet. Most people can go to a library and they can read stuff. And then you go through one closing on a property. And then you buy one. You're like, wow, that was like really easy and kind of cool. And eventually you just start to do it and it becomes a habit and you just start taking massive, massive, massive action. But you learn from the people that have done it a bunch of times for these routine things, right? You learn from those people with the mistakes. You learn from the people with experience. You don't need to have them. You don't need to have the experience yourself. You just learn from the other people with the experience. What does Warren Buffett say? Something along the lines of, I don't learn from my own mistakes. I learn from other people's mistakes. And that's how we're designed. That's we're born. That's how we're born to learn. We're born to learn by pain and pleasure, Sigmund Freud style, right? We're born to learn by pain and pleasure. And when you're a little kid and you touch the hot stove, you know not to touch that again. So you've associated pain to that. And you can psychologically and manually override this ability and start reassociating pleasure and pain to different things. So you want to start reassociating pleasure to the secondary and tertiary effects of what you do. Like, I go to the gym. It sucks for an hour. And if you're like, I'm sitting there the whole time associating pain to the gym. Oh, this really sucks. I'm at the gym. I work so hard. This really sucks. But then when you start to associate the pleasure of the endorphin rush that follows, or you start to associate the pleasure of looking in the mirror and having a rock solid body with giant biceps, that's the pleasure. So ignore this piece of pain in the short term when you associate it to the secondary and tertiary effect. Same thing with money. It might be hard to invest into a big project or take the big leap or go to freaking zero, which I've done. Go to zero and invest into some shit you have no idea where it's going, which I've done. But you know in your soul that that's the freaking answer. That is the hard primary effect. The primary effect sucks. Oh my gosh, this could be a freaking disaster. The secondary effect's like, look, if this works, I'm going to have more money than when I started. The tertiary effect is even better. I'm going to be retired when I'm 30. I'm going to be retired when I'm 35. I don't even have to work the rest of my life. I'm going to have passive income streams coming to me, freeing up all my time. Those are the things I want to associate pleasure to. That's what I want to associate pleasure with. And if you want to associate pain with the tertiary effect or the secondary effect, you should start to look at what is your life going to look like if you didn't take action today. What's your life going to look like in 45 years? 50 years if you don't take action today? What's that going to look like to you? And to me, it scares the shit out of me. It scares the fucking shit out of me. Because I would rather be flat ass fucking broke playing guitar on a freaking beach, going to different beach gigs and shit. That's my plan if all this shit just takes a catastrophe. This podcast, real estate, all this stuff comes crumbling down. I'm getting in the car with my wife. I'm going to Florida. We're going to go barefoot, walk around with my guitars. And I'm just going to go play at local beach gigs, Tommy Bahama restaurants and shit. That's what I'm probably going to do. And that to me is still way better than having my 2.5 fucking kids, a golden retriever, living in Levittown with a little white picket fence and just having a very comfortable life. Nothing against having kids. We plan on having kids, don't get me wrong. But I don't want to be average. I want to fucking be somebody. And I would rather be broke than middle class. I would rather be broke than middle class because I'm scared of that fucking lifestyle. Trading my time for money, wishing your whole life by till Friday every single week, that scares me. That's what I'm afraid of. Because I've reassociated my brain to fear the tertiary effect of not taking fucking action today. Now, let's talk about this, right? Let's go to the logical extreme. Let's talk about like bankruptcy or some shit. That could all go wrong if all this shit fucking takes a total leap and it goes into a disaster mode and we go bankrupt, right? Don't get me wrong. I know people that have gone through bankruptcy. I've had discussions with them. I've worked with clients that have come from positions of bankruptcy. And don't get me wrong, it would fucking suck. It could be a total disaster for your life. I get it. But there's a lot of people that go through bankruptcy and they do just fine. From what I'm told, now I haven't gone through this, but my clients have gone through this sometimes. And I've helped people come out of bankruptcy and win. From what I'm told, you go to bankruptcy court. Usually the repo guy shows up for your car. Usually the credit card companies don't ever fucking show up. Usually the mortgage guy just decides to take your house. They call it even. And you usually keep the cash in your bank unless the judge decides to make you push payments for the next couple months. And there's the stuff in your house that you get to keep except for whatever the repo guys decide to take for collateral. I don't know, some expensive jewelry, maybe your guitar, some other bullshit. And that's it. That's bankruptcy. And then you're clean. And then you start over. You can't get a loan for the next 10 years, which would suck, but that's it. It's not like you're dead. It's not like your soul has been ruined. It's not like your entire town shuns you from the world. It's not like your family's going to stop loving you. It's not like you can't go out and get a boyfriend or girlfriend ever again. That's it. They just try to take their collateral back. All that happens is now is you can't get a loan for another 10 years, and then whatever they take in court is what you got left. The leftover is what you got left. And in that exact situation, there's still a million fucking ways to make money from that exact moment. It's all about building those relationships, staying true to yourself, being an ethical person, being a good person, having good, strong relationships with people, and you'll be just fine. 50 Cent goes freaking bankrupt. But you know what happens? His name is 50 Cent, and he's still 50 Cent because he's established relationships and a brand around his image and his beauty. So if you sabotage, so you go bankrupt and you fuck up your brand, well, then it's about building the relationships. The connections you have are still valuable. Those are all assets that we don't ever think about. Your name, your relationships, the people you work with, your connections, all that shit is very valuable. So you need to build up those connections. You need to build up those relationships. You need to be with them. Walk the dog all the way through, guys. Is bankruptcy really the end for you? And is it really the most scary fucking thing that can come out of all this shit? Because there's a lot of worse situations that can happen. You'll be fucking fine, and you can still be fucking fine, and you'll be able to walk that all the way through. And that's what it comes down to, guys. There's a whole bunch of things. There's a whole bunch of things that go into it where experience doesn't fucking matter. You got to be able to adapt. You need to be able to bring creative ideas into the souls of other people. What is that idea? What problems are you solving? Why is your problem-solving method better than what all these fuckers with the experience have done before? And if you can answer that question, you've just created your unique value proposition. Now you can go build a fucking business. If you can answer the question and have it very fucking convincing, you can go build a business. That's all you've got to answer. That's all you've got to answer. Why is your problem-solving method better than what everybody else has done? What problem am I solving? Why is it better than what everybody else is trying to do? And if you can convince enough people of that, you will have a profitable business. And that's the game of entrepreneurship. And that's all you got to do. What problem am I solving? Why is it better? And convince people. Show people. That's the game of being an entrepreneur. And the last thing that I'm going to leave you with, this last major subject, is about shifting your overall mindset. Shift that fucking mindset. Start reassociating the pain and the pleasure with different things, just like we talked about. Because that's only going to benefit you. And that's what's going to keep you on the trajectory. Link your pain to shitty outcomes. Link your pain to if you didn't take action. And link your pleasure to the secondary and tertiary effects. Delay that short-term gratification for the long term. Associate the pleasure to the beauty, the glory, the sipping champagne on the yacht, the fucking good life. It's not hard, folks. It's not hard. And it might sound kind of hard, and it might sound complicated, but just find out what is your next step. What is the next step? Who am I providing value to? Usually, you provide value to people by solving some type of problem. Anything, any business, everything is just a method of solving some type of problem. And like we talked about, you don't need experience to solve that problem. Stop telling yourself that you need experience to solve that problem. Instead, start telling yourself, how can I solve this new problem with a new, unique, inventive idea? And how do I do it better? How do I get into the mindset where I can put all those ideas out into the world and provide value to everybody else? Stop fucking around. Go do it. Go do that shit, guys. Seriously. This is what it's all about. This is the game. This is the strategy. That is business and life strategy. It's shifting all of this into a flow that aligns your purpose and soul's mission. It is within you. And if you die with value left inside of you, I think that's the most selfish fucking thing you can do. I think that's the most selfish thing anybody can do. If you still have value that you can contribute to the world and change more lives than just the immediate people around you, that's selfish. That's selfish. People always say, I get this all the fucking time. I did this for my family. I worked this job. I slaved away my whole fucking middle life. Like that 25 years or 60 years between the ages of 20 and 65, whatever it is, 45 years. I slaved away because I did this for my family. I call bullshit on that. Because you could provide so much value to your family and to other people by finding out what is within you and get that out to the world. What is it that really makes you tick? It's probably that daydream that constantly runs behind your mind. It's probably that movie idea or that thought or that book or that invention or that thing that everybody told you, no, you can't fucking do that. That's way too hard. The odds are against you. The stats are against you. And I have a belief that there is a way bigger picture to all of this. And that the stats will shake out if it is for you specifically. And you guys probably don't get it, and I don't know if you're going to buy this the first time, but I'm going to attempt to at least over several more episodes try to persuade you on this concept. But that's that the stats don't fucking matter. Because you are unique. To a certain degree, right? You are unique. I'll give you an example, right? I'll give you a good example of why the stats will shift given your unique circumstance. Let's look at, let's say you want to be an NFL football player. Let's say, and you have 1 in a million, let's just say 1 in a million chance of being an NFL football player. So when you're a little kid, everyone says, oh yeah, you got a 1 in a million shot being a football player. Okay, good. 1 in 1 million shot. Now you grow up. Now you're in high school and you're like, still that 1 in a million shot of being an NFL football player, but it's like you decided to go out for the band team. You have a way less likely chance of being in the NFL because you're not even playing football. But if you decide to go on the football team, you might have a higher likelihood in that 1 in a million chance. So right there, because of a decision we made and because of attributes you selected within yourself, we've changed the odds of the general consensus. We've changed the odds. This is in stats. This is like that 3-door. This is the 3-door strategy, right? I forget what the actual fucking experiment is, but it's like if you're on a game show and you have 3 doors and they remove 1 door and they say you can pick between this one, so you have 3 doors, right? And you pick 1 door. You say, I want door number 1. That's where the car is behind. And they say, okay. And they open up door number 3 and it's blank. And they say, okay, so it's either in door number 1 now or door number 2. Which door do you want to pick? And you pick door number 2 every time. Because the stats just changed based on that decision. Originally, when you first selected it, you had a 33% chance of picking the correct door. Now you have a 50% chance of picking the correct door if you switch. That's the same kind of thing. You wait for the outcome to shift the odds. You wait for the outcome to shift the odds. And that's a good example. The NFL one, right? That can keep going deeper, right? If I'm 6'5", 245 pounds, bench press 450, and I'm built like a brick, you've got way better chance of being in the NFL than you do if you're just going to be a band geek the rest of your life. But look at the attributes that you have individually, and those are your strengths. And as Peter Drucker says, you build upon your strengths. You build upon your strengths. So your stats are going to be better for you if you know what those strengths are and you're building on them. But I hear this for everything. Anytime someone's successful, they immediately try to discredit the ability to get there by making up bullshit statistics. You have a 0.1% chance of being a millionaire or whatever. But if you got a PhD in economics and you already inherited $900,000 from your parents, it's probably a lot easier to become a millionaire because of that circumstance. So start thinking about your circumstance. Start thinking about your circumstance. And if the end state is not to be a millionaire, the end state is to create time, money, and energy with living within your purpose. That's the end state. And then the millionaire just shows up. The bank account just arrives in your life if you're doing those three things. But nobody fucking thinks like that. I probably won't convince you guys on this episode yet either. But you need to do that. Create time, money, and energy. And then $1 million will show up. You don't want to be a millionaire. You want to live within purpose and let $1 million follow you. That's what you want to do. Because when you make $1 million fucking dollars, you're just going to be looking at it like, okay, well, what's next? I don't really feel any different. Sure, I can buy happiness, but that's only giving me a dopamine rush. And that's 25% of the recipe to happiness is the dopamine. I talk about that in another episode. But what it's really about, guys, is identifying your individual attributes. What are your strengths? What are you good at? Identify what you're good at. Now you can project with a higher confidence that you will reach this destination because your individual attributes give you an advantage. So stop thinking about the general stats. Stop thinking about the overall general stats. These are things that you need to start considering when you're trying to design the life strategy. What are your individual attributes? How did the stats change for you? Are you smarter than everyone else? Are you sexier than everyone else? Are you stronger than everyone else? What is it about you, uniquely to you, that brings more value, that increases your stats? And then fuck the old stats. Fuck the general consensus. They're taking an average. They're taking a random sample size. They're not looking at you. They're not looking at your individual abilities and strengths and gifts and soul and value. Those stats aren't looking at that. They're looking at what are the chances based on everybody's fucking shit. So when you can consider your stats, your strengths, your attributes, you want to be a rock star, you better be a goddamn good guitar player. You better be in the top 1% of guitar players ever. So if you are already not in the top 1% of being a rock star or a guitar player, we need to start looking at what your other strengths are. There might be a combination of strengths that increase your ability to become a rock star. Maybe it's top 1% or top 3% of being a guitar player, top 1% of being charismatic, top 2% of being attractive, and top 5% of having connections with meaningful people. So then you start to factor in multiple strengths and attributes given your specific circumstance. And let's say you know a producer in Hollywood. Let's say you're already pretty damn good at guitar. Let's say everybody tells you that you're really attractive, you have a beautiful smile, blah, blah, blah. And then you can start to increase your likelihood. And now that 1 in a million chance of being a rock star ends up turning into 1 in 200. In fact, I know a guy. Maybe it's just 1 in 50. In fact, that guy's a family member. Maybe it's 50-50. And you start to analyze your specific circumstance based on your connections and based on your strengths. And those change the stats. Those change your odds and your likelihood. So stop relying on these blanket stats given by people that don't know shit. And start looking at what is unique to your situation and how can you use that as an advantage to build your life strategy. And I'm gonna convince you guys, right? I'm gonna convince you guys over a couple of these episodes that there is a bigger picture to all of this. But there is a bigger picture to all of this, that you have a specific gift ready inside of you to give out to the world. And if you give out that gift to the world, other people will find gifts within themselves to give out to the world, and the world will continue to improve. And then the whole world is this gigantic symbiotic organism. But we let evil, we let fear, we let things like that block these gifts from getting out to the world. We let people, the middle class system, the people that give us shitty advice in our best interest. Because evil and fear are the same. Fear and evil are the same. Now, fear is good when it's for survival mechanisms. I talk about the difference of fears and what that means in other episodes, but fear is good in one way, that it keeps you alive. But fear also stops you from living. And you got to think about this, guys. Don't let the fear block your gift, because that is the greatest evil you can do to the world. Don't let fear block your gift. And like I said, this is a higher level picture from God above. This is what comes down to us, our unique purpose within every single one of you. And that unique purpose, that unique value, that unique gift within every single one of you gives you a 100% chance of making that destiny if it's in alignment with your purpose. And finding out what that purpose is within you is kind of hard. It takes a little coaching. It takes some self-reflection. It takes some training. It takes a lot of time. People can do it themselves intuitively, and other people need to hire like a coach or a mentor. Some people have mentors. Some people have coaches. Some people have good family. They have people that can let them bring that gift out, but some people's family stops the gift as well. And you got to find out which one that is. But prostituting yourselves out to this middle class system for the rest of your life and covering up your gifts and covering up your dreams and covering up your life and your value is bullshit. And that is, I would say that's the greatest evil. Because you're keeping that from people. You're keeping so much good from other people by doing that. Now I get it, right? Some people don't want to be entrepreneurs. Some people don't want to be rock gods. Some people don't want to be movie stars. And they enjoy the middle class system. Some people really just want to focus on their family and have financial independence and be free. And some people enjoy the middle class system. And that's part of their dream. That's part of their destiny. And they have a simpler goal. They're not as complex. And we all know these people, that they're very, very, very happy with the simple things. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying that the most selfish action is if you're using content as an excuse to keep value within you. So think about it first. Are you using content as an excuse to keep value within you? Are you saying like, I'm happy? Yeah, I'm happy. I'm really happy with all of this. I'm really happy with everything I've done. I'm really happy with everything I've designed. I don't need anything else. I don't want anything else. And if that's okay, because you're showing a lot of amazing gratitude, but don't let that supersede your internal ambitions. Some people are naturally not that ambitious. Probably not listening to this show. Probably not. Because if you're ambitious, there is a piece of value inside of your soul that's on fire right now. There's a piece of a unique ability, a gift, a superhuman fucking power within you. Whatever that is, it's within you. And it would be selfish not to bring that out to the world. Give it to us. Is it an idea? Is it a thought? Is it a skill? Is it an attribute? It's something that you're amazingly good at. And when you can find out what that is, people tend to really enjoy it. People tend to enjoy what they're really good at. Then we can start to really align the purpose around it, and you'll move at fucking light speed. You will warp time around that purpose because God himself gives you the ability to do it because you found it and now it's ready to get out to the world and you'll go even faster. That's how get rich quick schemes like philosophically happen. That's how they're designed to work. That's how people make money fast, because they found their purpose immediately. They found their thing and they freaking rocked it. And the world is rewarding them for giving their gift to the world. That's what it is. They're creating value. They're creating value. So don't surround yourself with these people that tell yourself that the odds, that the experience, that the pain, all these different things are going to stop you. Instead, go out, surround yourself with people that are going to encourage you, jam out with you on your big thoughts, big think sessions. Jam out with people that wouldn't laugh you out of the room if you told them you wanted to be a movie star. So you want to be a movie star? Well, let's identify your attributes. Are you attractive? Are you in shape? Are you a good actor? Do you have a good personality? Do you have any connections? Do you want to weed out all of these possibilities and increase or decrease your odds of becoming an actor? You want to play the strengths. So first of all, figure out if you're even good enough to do it. And you might believe that you're good enough to do it, but that doesn't mean that you're good enough to do it. You've got to be in the top 1% of every fucking body at that strength. And what you'll find is maybe by playing a different strength in a different strategy, in a different rule, you might be able to have more success and more following by changing the strategy. You might just think that this is your outcome right now. And that's why I say take the next step. Take the next step by getting that strength out there. Take that next step by creating value out there. But stop looking at the general consensus. Stop looking at the general odds. Stop looking at the giant population size and the chances of me being tossed into a mix of fucking cattle. That means jack shit. That's as bad as experience. And look at what's specific to you and how do you contribute to the greater good by using your gift. Now, we got a lot done today, guys. We talked about a shitload of things. We talked about experience. More specifically, about how I think experience is a fucking crutch for inaction and it doesn't mean shit. We talked about adaptability. We talked about value within you. And we also talked about pleasure and pain. We wrap this whole baby up with how the stats need to go fuck themselves, because what's unique to your attributes is the most important statistic you are ever going to use. What you're actually good at, what you're actually passionate about, what the world actually fucking needs, that is the trifecta. That is the trifecta. The bullseye. That's your purpose. That's your purpose. Once again, guys, I appreciate the time today. My name is AJ Armstrong. You can follow me on Instagram at AaronArmstrong33, or you can hit me up on my website, AaronJArmstrong.com. This is Winners, Wallets, and Worldviews. Be strong, be somebody. I'm out.